My name is Clint Taylor from Texas Kayak Fisher and Trail 4Runner. Today I'll be showing you how to install the OEM Audio Plus subwoofer and amplifier for a 5th gen Toyota 4Runner. So let's get started. First, disconnect the lead to your negative battery terminal. Using a pry tool, remove the 4 plastic covers that hide the bolts securing the seat to the floor. Using a socket wrench, remove these 4 bolts so that you can tilt the seat back to install the amplifier. I recommend using a socket wrench to loosen it and then removing the bolt by hand for the rest of the way. Tilt the passenger seat back so you can gain access to the wiring harness underneath the seat. Unplug the 3 clips. Install the amplifier under the seat by using the hook on the bracket of the end of the amplifier to secure to the seat spring, and in the front of the bracket with the supplied bolt to fasten and secure the amplifier. Reinstall the factory wiring harness under the passenger seat. With the help of a plastic pry tool, begin to remove the front passenger floor kick panel so you can gain access to install the OEM Audio Plus wiring harness. Using the same process, remove the rear passenger floor kick panel as well. Remove the weather stripping on the rear passenger door to gain access to other things you'll need to remove in the install process. Using a socket wrench, remove the bolt securing the front seat belt. Using a plastic pry tool in your hands, remove the panel that splits the front passenger seat and the rear passenger seat. You should now have access along the floorboard and a nice open channel that factory wiring is installed to install the OEM Audio Plus wiring harness. Begin opening the factory clips that hold the factory wiring harness in place so you can install the OEM Audio Plus wiring harness. Slide the supplied wiring harness from OEM Audio Plus under the carpet through a small slit in the carpet so you can run the wiring to the amplifier and the ground location. This may take a little bit of time, so just be gentle and slowly guide the wires through there. Secure the ground wire on the wiring harness under the passenger seat using the supplied bolt from OEM Audio Plus. Plug in the corresponding plugs from the wiring harness to the amplifier. Begin routing the OEM Audio Plus wiring harness near the factory wiring harness and securing clips as you go. You can now reinstall the panel splitting the front passenger door and rear passenger door, the bolt to secure the seat belt in place, the 4 bolts holding the front passenger seat to the floor, and the covers to hide the front bolts on the passenger seat. After doing so, reinstall the weather stripping on the front passenger door seam. Remove the right and left cover to the climate control knobs by using a plastic pry tool and/or your hands by pulling backwards towards yourself. After doing so, you can remove the climate control module by simply doing the same process. Remove the plugs for the electrical wires to the back of the climate control module. Using a socket wrench, remove the 4 bolts that hold your radio receiver in place. As always, I like to use the wrench to loosen the bolts and then remove the bolts by hand for the remainder of the way. You can now remove your radio receiver and air conditioner vents by pulling at the corners of the module. Be careful not to scratch anything. Unplug the necessary wires from the back of the factory radio receiver so that you can hook up the OEM Audio Plus wiring harness. Remove the kick panel under the glove box of the passenger seat area to gain access to run the OEM Audio Plus wiring harness. You now need to snake the wiring harness up through the cavity near the footwell to the back of the radio receiver. I was not very successful at filming this, so I recommend watching OEM Audio Plus's install video for this part. After snaking the wiring harness to the rear of the radio receiver, begin to plug in the corresponding plugs. After installing the OEM Audio Plus wiring harness and plugging it into the back of your radio receiver, you can reinstall the radio receiver and air conditioner vents. Reinstall the 4 factory bolts that secure the radio receiver in place, the climate control module, and the covers to the climate control module. Moving to the cargo area, use a plastic pry tool to remove the cover to the cargo area tie downs. Then using a socket wrench, remove the bolt that secures these tie downs to the floor. Remove the floor panel that splits the second row in the cargo area. You should now have access to route the OEM Audio Plus wiring harness from the second row under the carpet into this channel of where you remove the floor panel. After pulling your wiring harness through, you can now reinstall the weather stripping in the passenger rear door and the bottom floor kick panel to the rear door. Now you need to route the wiring through the channel splitting the second row in the cargo area. Try to route the wire as cleanly as possible. Remove the factory clip for a cargo net using a plastic pry tool and a socket wrench. Pull the carpet back and run the OEM Audio Plus wiring harness underneath the carpet and through the hole where the factory tie-down location for a cargo net was. Tuck the factory carpet in the cargo area back into position and reinstall the panel that splits the second row and the cargo area. Now you can begin to install the actual subwoofer assembly. OEM Audio Plus supplies Velcro to use in the assembly, but I had some more industrial use Velcro that I wanted to use to place the subwoofer into position. Place in the cargo area and on the back of the subwoofer. After doing so, you can then position the subwoofer in the area, making sure that the wire is clear and tucked into the cavity as much as possible. Slowly position the subwoofer into place and secure to the Velcro. And that's it, you're done. So now that I've had the OEM Audio Plus subwoofer installed for several weeks now, I kind of want to give you a quick review on what I think of it. And the first thing is that, wow, it is super impressive. In fact, if you're wanting the most bang for your buck, the most noticeable difference in sound, I'd recommend going straight to the subwoofer before doing tweeters and door speakers. And you know, while the tweeters and door speakers do give you a lot of extra sound and quality and even some bass with the door speakers, the subwoofer is just something that you're really going to be able to notice super quickly, and anyone in the car is going to notice that you have a little something extra special back there. The other thing is just that it fits so nice and tidy in the cargo area. It's custom fit, and OEM Audio Plus did a fantastic job on getting that all to fit back there nice and neat, and it really looks good as well, and it doesn't take up hardly any cargo area, which, subwoofer boxes, some of them you set essentially in the cargo area, the main footprint. It takes away a lot of storage space, but that's not the case with this subwoofer. And the other thing I want to mention is that some subwoofers, as you turn them up, they start to get a little distorted. You start to hear some burble, but that is definitely not the case with this one. The louder you turn it up, just the more oomph you get, if that makes sense. And it's very powerful, very clean, very crisp, but has a nice, solid, powerful sound, which I really appreciate. And part of that is because OEM Audio Plus tuned this subwoofer specifically for 4Runner. So not only did they make a custom enclosure, but they also tuned the sound of this and all their speakers specifically for 4Runner. And that's pretty cool because, once again, you know, there's a lot of universal subwoofers you could install, but they're not designed for the interior cabin and everything that's inside a 4Runner. And so that's something really special about this. If you are interested in a subwoofer, I think this would be a great one for 5th Gen 4Runner. I can't really imagine any better. The only thing I will say is, if you're someone that really wants to shake the neighborhood and vibrate, you know, windows and glass and set off car alarms, this may not be the subwoofer for you. While when you do turn it up pretty loud, it cranks up some sound and is very powerful, but it is not one of those subwoofers that you drive down the street, you know, annoying your neighbors. But that's not what I want, and I'm pretty sure that's not what OEM Audio Plus wanted either. They wanted a crisp, professional, clean, powerful subwoofer, and that's exactly what this is. Thanks for watching. I hope it helped you out some. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. Thank you.